Yay Networks.
Yo, what's up, everybody? It's your boy Cornelius Lindsay. Welcome to This Is Life with Heather and Cornelius. Well, Heather is not with me today because, you know, it's a holiday season, man. She got stuff to do. Like she busy. Like, she got her own stuff. She got her own stuff. But like I'm on here and I got some important stuff to kind of talk about. So it'll be good. Hope it is. It's gonna be heavy, I think, for some people. Deep breath. Woosah.
Well, I'm going to jump in.
Yeah, come on, Riley. So Riley is a producer with us for our show. And hit me up, Riley. So
you say a lot has happened.
Yeah, a lot has happened.
Will you fill us in? Give us a scoop.
So, for those of you who for 10 years, I've been giving my whole life on social media, right? And kind of took a step back around August. I'm going to tell you why. So my birthday is August 16th, and celebrated my birthday, celebrated our wedding anniversary on August 14th. And on August 26th, my world changed. So I since I was young, I've always kind of questioned, like I've always had like this issue with like this fatherhood issue, and really could not understand like why that issue was always there. I just didn't understand it. But on August 26th, I had a fight with my dad, and I sat down and talked to my mom, and my mom shared with me that, you know, the man who basically raised me, who I thought was my dad, was not my dad. And that she showed me a picture of this guy on Facebook, and she's like, "This is actually your dad." I was like, "Ugh." Like this is some heavy stuff. Like, are you kidding me? And it's just like, you know, this is also your brother, and you might have some sisters, and you know, I'm unsure, but this is who he is. And so I just had a lot of questions. But the next day, you know, I took my son to his football game. After that, we went out to eat as a family, as we normally do. And then I boarded a flight at 10:45 p.m. and I flew to North Carolina, and I went to an inpatient treatment center to find some help, because I felt like I was getting ready to go crazy. I had a lot of different emotions, a lot of different feelings, a lot of different questions. I did not know what to do with any of it. And as I started going around, I started talking to like several people about my whole thing, like what I was going through. I realized that my issue was not as singular as what I thought it was, that a lot of people are learning about family secrets. And it's just like, I don't know, it's just like, God dog, like why did it take 36 years for me to get to this point of realizing it? But I think throughout the journey, I've really started to understand why.
Did you know, like right away, that you needed to check yourself in? Did you think about it? Did you think of some options? What would make you feel good? The time you needed to take?
Yeah, it's interesting because the timing of when it all happened, I was already planned to go to the treatment center just to kind of deal with my depression and stuff like that. So, and I was getting ready to cancel it. So when I found out about it, I'm like, okay, well, I'm not going to cancel it. I'm really going to go. Like now I need to go, because when my mom told me, it felt like the floor was kind of ripped out from under me, and I felt completely numb. And I just felt like I'm like, there's no other reason to really keep going. I just felt numb to the world. Mm. So it's like, I didn't really have any other option. Because if I would have stayed at home, I would have probably driven myself crazy. I mean, I would have probably, you know, been best friends with Jack Daniels and Crown Royal, just so I wouldn't think about like all the questions that I had in my head, and all the whys, and all the what ifs, and all the, you know, why me's and all that kind of stuff. Like I just did not understand it.
So after you checked yourself in, what was kind of the first step you did once you got there? Did you talk to somebody?
Yeah. So, I did. So the leaders of the center of this healing center. They're amazing. It's a husband and wife couple. And I got there, and I immediately, they showed me to my room. I went to my room, and I unpacked, and the husband was like, come on, go with me. Let's go get something to eat. He took me, and he and I, we went and we sat down at a restaurant, and I kind of told him the story, and he was just like, yo, that's a lot. It's a lot. And we got back, and he was like, yeah, just go upstairs and just go rest. And I'm like, okay, I'll go upstairs and go rest. I mean, I just flown across the country overnight, and I'm like, I am tired. I ended up laying down, and I slept for almost a day and a half.
Wow.
I was exhausted. And like, I would get up and I'd go downstairs and I'd eat dinner with everybody. But even like when I'm eating dinner, like I'm so tired. I go back upstairs and I go lay in the bed, and I would just go to sleep all over again. And I didn't realize how tired I was, and I didn't realize that I was going through that different stages of the grieving process of basically like numbness and anger.
Mm-hmm.
And like the anger was just like, it was just making me tired. So, I didn't even know how to really feel in the moment. I was trying, and if I can be real and transparent, when I got there to the center, I almost hated the fact that I went, because I was like, you know what? Is different ways you can block out this pain, and other ways you can block out the pain. But now you're here, and you don't have that option, because I didn't rent a car for that very reason. I couldn't leave. Mm-hmm. There's no TVs in the house. So it's not like I can just binge watch TV. There's no TVs in the house. They're like amazing Christians. So it's like, Bible verses everywhere. Mm-hmm. Like, soft Christian music playing in the background. I'm just like, bring me something that is saturated in the world, like something that can help me just kind of ease my pain. Mm-hmm. So I didn't have to feel it. Yeah, I just wanted to be distracted. That's all I wanted. I didn't want to feel anything. And I couldn't do that there. Mm. Yeah.
Did you have to push away some of the questions? Did you face them head on? What were those questions, if you want to share and feel comfortable sharing?
Well, yeah, like some of the questions I had was like, why did it take so long? Mm. Is there like, the biggest question I had, and I've always had, was, so was there something wrong with me? Like, why didn't he reach out? Like, why didn't he talk to me? Like, and then it kind of progressed into like, well, why does he hate me? And I had yet to speak to him. I hadn't spoken to him. I sent him a message on Facebook, and I was like, hey, my mom just told me about blah, blah, blah. And he's like, yeah, this is great. Let's have a conversation. But I didn't respond back to him, because I was like, I don't know what to say. Mm-hmm. And so I'm at the treatment center, and at the healing center, and a lady looks at me and she says, no, you need to talk to him. You need to talk to him. You need to come to a finality. Like, you need to talk to him. You need to hear him out. And I'm like, I don't want to talk to him. I don't have anything to say. And she's just like, no, you need to talk to him. So I didn't talk to him. I think it took me a week to finally get on the phone and talk to him. But those questions in my head, it was like, I wanted answers, but then I was almost afraid of the answers that I would get. Like, what if he said something that proved my fears valid? He said something that said, you know what? Well, I'm sorry, but you weren't valuable enough for me to just kind of say that you were my son. Mm. And so I was afraid. I was afraid. And it took me a week to get on the phone and talk to him. And I finally, when I got back home, I was like talking it out with my wife. And I'm like, this is a whole new world. Because then I realized, I have an older brother that I need to meet. I have a younger sister. I have an older sister. Like, I have missed all of their lives. And the crazy thing is, I've always wanted a brother. I'm like, so I've always had one this whole time and didn't know it. So, but I did get there, and I did have a conversation with him, and we talked. And, I think I'll share some of the contents of the conversation. Before I share them, I think we should go to a quick break. So this episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. Give online therapy a try at betterhelp.com/Lindsay's and get on your way to being your best self. Now, I mean, you're hearing me talk about my personal struggles, the things that I've gone through, the heaviness of you've heard me talk about depression and suicidal thoughts and all these different things that I've had. And, BetterHelp has been an amazing engine to be able to provide me, with all these different therapists, licensed professional therapists that could really help to provide language to my pain. And the way that it works is it's all online. So you don't have to worry about going into a waiting room or anything like that. The way that it works is you go online and, basically they have a list of therapists that you can choose from. And the cool thing is that if you get a therapist that you don't want, you can always change that person, and you can go around until you can find the best one for you. Financial aid is also available. We've sent hundreds of thousands of people to BetterHelp, and they've come back and said, well, I couldn't afford it. But, they have financial aid, which is available. But basically, you find a therapist that works for you. Your meetings are virtual, so you don't have to worry about going into an office, sitting down in a waiting room, all that kind of stuff. You have your virtual appointment, and boom. I mean, you just kind of just move forward. It's like the best modern day option for being able to find the help that you need. As the world's largest therapy service, BetterHelp has matched 3 million people with professionally licensed and vetted therapists, available 100% online, plus it's affordable. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to match with a therapist. If things aren't clicking, you can easily switch to a new therapist anytime. It couldn't be any simpler. No waiting rooms, no traffic, no endless searching for the right therapist. You can learn more and save 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/Lindsay's. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Lindsay's, LINDSEYS, betterhelp.com/Lindsay's. And we're back. So, yeah, that conversation I had with my dad.
I want to know though,
Okay.
What did you open with? Like you're dialing, are you shaking? Like, how are you feeling?
I was actually kind of calm in the moment. And I was because I had a call with a lady she's over the center in North Carolina, her and her husband. But I had a call with her before I called him. And she said, okay, get rid of all your expectations. She said, get rid of all of them. She said, I know you may expect for him to say this and that. She said, just get rid of all of them. And she was on the phone and she was like, have you gotten rid of them? And I'm like, I guess. I don't know how do you do that practically? She's like, just don't expect anything from him. Just hear him out. And I'm like, okay, cool. So I was kind of at peace. And I actually did it in my safe place, which is at the gym. I went to the gym. Well, I was going to the gym anyway. I went to the gym and I was sitting in the parking lot. And the gym is like my safe place. And I sat in the parking lot and I called him. And he answers the phone, and he says, son? And I'm like,
now what?
I'm like, oh my God, what? And I'm like, yeah, hey. And he's like, yeah. And then, after a little bit of awkward silence, the conversation started, and he just shared that he just kind of shared about his life and his journey. Mm. And then he shared like how I came about, and he kind of gave me insight as to why I guess he couldn't say anything at the time. That he had this son, and I was the son that, was one that he couldn't talk about. And so I think during that time as he was talking, it was interesting because I started to get empathetic. Mm-hmm. And I was like, man, I really feel sorry for him. That he was bottling this in the whole time and really not saying anything, mm-hmm. And he told me, he said, yeah, he's seen my life. He's followed me since I was a kid. he told me about, hey, when you were younger, you came to my basketball camp. And I'm like, well, I don't remember you. And he's like, yeah. He's like, you were there. And the crazy thing was, I was at basketball camp with my brother and had no idea. And I'm like, yeah, I don't even remember you. I remember going to the camp, but I remember hating the camp. I never went back. I only went one time, and I hated it because I was a chunky kid growing up. And it was a basketball camp, and the first thing we did is we played a game. And it was opposing teams, and it was shirts and skins. So I was on skins, so I had to take my shirt off. And so I'm running up and down the basketball court, and everything is dribbling on me but the ball. I'm just like, it's like the fat kid saga. Like, running down, it's like blue, blue, blue. And like all the kids were like, come on, like, bro. But I was a fat kid, and I told my mom, I was like, I don't want to go back. I was traumatized. I hated it. And so I didn't go back. And he was like, yo, that's why you didn't come back? He said, I never knew. And I was like, yeah, that's why I didn't come back, because I was freaking traumatized because the other kids there, I was Kool-Aid Man and Fat Boy and Bubba. And I'm like, I don't want to be that kid. So I just learned very quickly basketball wasn't for me. And he was like, yeah, well, I met you then. And he's like, yeah. And he started telling me these other stories about, I would see you in the mall, and I would see you here, and I dropped off clothes for you, and I did this, I did that. And I'm just like, well, that's cool, but I still had that in the back of my mind, like, but where have you been my whole life? And like, you've watched it, but you're not in it. And it was like he shared something with me that was like, he shared something to me. He said, I almost got to the point where I started looking at your life and I wondered, like, did you even need me? And I was like, yo. It's like, the crazy thing is that I have been living my whole life to achieve and to prove that I am something to you. And like, all of my achievement is been based on the fact that I wanted to get your attention. So none of anything that I've ever done or accomplished in my life means anything to me, because all I've ever wanted in my life was you in it. And I didn't even know you existed. I thought you were somebody else. Like, I had no idea. And he was just like, wow, I didn't know. And so, and then he would say, well, I wanted to talk to you. I wanted to reach out, but then he kept saying, I want you to reach out to me. And I'm like, well, I didn't know. And my mom would say, you should reach out. And she'd say, but she never really said, like, that's your dad. She just said, you need to reach out to him. And I'm like, well, I don't want to reach out to him. I'm like, let me reach out to him. I want to reach out to him. It's never like, reach out to him, he's your dad. Because I feel like if she'd have been like, if it was your dad, I'm like, heck yeah, I'll do it. But it was so much, it was just so much in it that I just started to feel empathy for the both of them. I was like, yo, like, to have to hold that for 36 years, like, I'm a parent now. And it's like, you're constantly asking yourself the question, like, okay, at what age should I talk to my children about this? What, and and then time just kind of goes by. And then you look up and you're like, crap, my kids still don't know. And so I didn't feel any anger or animosity towards him or my mom. It was just like, at this point, I was just happy that I finally knew. Because I grew up like with such, like, all these like daddy issues, and it made sense why I kind of had daddy issues, because like the guy who I thought was my dad, he wasn't really my dad. And, him knowing that is just like, of course he would treat me different than, he kind of treats my sister. That makes sense, because that's actually his child. And, but I'm still very appreciative because he didn't have to take care of me. He didn't have to let me in his house, and he did. Mm-hmm. So, this is crazy.
That's wild, first of all. But I mean, did you feel the validation, or when these things started clicking of like, I've been trying to get your approval and it wasn't who I thought it was, and did you feel validated, or was it just still like this turmoil of feeling? Like, I couldn't get this because it wasn't possible.
Yeah. I felt validated. I felt like it clicked.
Hmm.
You know, it's crazy because I've dealt with depression for a long time, probably since 2006 or 2007. 2007 is when I had my first really bad episode. I sat in my garage for almost 6 hours contemplating whether or not I would drink a combination of antifreeze and fruit punch. And since then, I've dealt with depression and I've dealt with those crazy, thoughts. And I thought for many years, I thought this is just going to be my life. I'm just going to have to get used to it. But it's crazy because after I talked to my dad for the first time, when I hung up the phone, I felt like something inside of me just kind of broke. And since that moment, I haven't really had a depressive moment since. And so I question whether or not I was really depressed or if I was just deprived.
Whoa.
And I felt like I was going through a sense of deprivation because there was something in me that knew something was off, but I couldn't put my finger on it. And that deprivation, that hole, that lack was like, this is supposed to be filled, but it's not being filled. And so once I finally learned about him and I spoke to him and like things started to make sense, it was like, oh, it kind of clicked. And I was like, this makes sense. And I haven't felt depressed anymore. I guess because like now, like the hole that I had has been filled, and filling of that hole has been very important. And before I continue, we're going to take another break. We'll be right back after this.
I don't know about y'all, ladies. This is for the ladies. It is so hard to find underwear that fit well, that are actually comfortable, that like don't ride up throughout the day, right? Same with, a bra. Like you want your bras to be comfortable because honestly, sometimes these bras, like they have weird gaps in the front. They show through your t-shirts. They dig into your shoulders. Same with your panties. It's just uncomfortable altogether. Until Bare Necessities solved all of our problems. I don't know about you guys, but I reach for the ones that like don't ride up and like bras that are actually comfortable. And so I ordered some bras and panties from Bare Necessities, and you guys, they are absolutely amazing. So Bare Necessities is one of the biggest online intimate apparel retailers. It offers over 140 of the best brands all in one place. And not only that, I don't know if you've like tried to look for bras or panties and you're like, man, they don't have my size. They have every size you could think of, from AA to O, extra small to 5XL. There's so many options for you to find. So if you can't find the right bra, they actually have a bra finder fit quiz that points you in the right direction with just a few clicks. And they also have a team of bra fit experts available on hand to help you find your most perfect bra. So I want you guys to give them a call or start a live chat to get your personalized fitting, okay? Now, they've been getting the most amazing feedback for over 20 years about what customers love and hate and need, and they have found it, and that's Bare by Bare Necessities. Now, right now, you can get 20% off your Bare Necessities order when you go to barenecessities.com/LWTL20 and use code LWTL20. That's code LWTL20 at barenecessities.com/LWTL20 to get 20% off. That's barenecessities.com/LWTL20 and use code LWTL20. Some exclusions apply.
Okay, well, I mean, throughout this whole thing, I've just been getting chills. But you talked about your brother and your siblings. What's the update on that?
Yeah, so I have two older siblings. I have an older sister. I have an older brother. And they're not much older. Like my brother is older than me by 8 months, I think, and my sister's older than me by 9 months, I think. And I have a younger sister. And so I'd probably talk to my brother. I probably talk to him every day. I say I probably talk to him every day now. My younger sister, I talk to her probably a couple times a week. just checking in on her. She's like such a sweetheart. She's like literally amazing. Like, little sister, little sister. And then, I also have an older sister who I grew up with. So, I talk to her. She knows about everything. And I talk to her, and then I talk to my other older sister. And I probably talk to her, maybe once a week or something like that. But my strongest relationship is probably with my older brother. Because we're both boys, both men. We can kind of understand each other. It's just a different playing field. And so I host a retreat every year in Montana and Wyoming. So I was headed up to the retreat in Montana, and after I had met him, I met him September. My retreat was I think it was in October. And I was just like, hey, I'm having this retreat in Montana. I would love for you to come. Like, if you can, that'd be dope. You can come and hang out with us, hang out with me and the rest of the guys. And he's like, okay, dope, I'll do it. So he ends up coming up. He flies up. And, I had told him, I said, hey, when you get to Montana, come in on Sunday. Cause like the retreat kind of starts on that Monday. I'm like, come in on Sunday. I'm flying on Sunday. That means you and we can hang out Sunday. I can meet you Sunday. And then boom, like Tuesday, we can go. So it wouldn't be awkward. Like, I'm meeting you for the first time in front of all the other guys. Mm-hmm. And so he lands, but he didn't land until like 11 o'clock p.m. Sunday night. And I'm like, yo, I've been traveling all day. So I text him and I'm like, yo, bro, I'm probably about to go to bed. And he's just like, what? Like, yo, I'm flying in early. And I'm like, yeah, I'm about to crash. Like, yo, I'm gonna be, I'll see you early in the morning. But I was like, yo, I know you'll probably be hungry. We're in Montana. Like, I think the food place is gonna be closed. So I was like, do you like pizza? I ordered him a pizza and had the pizza sent to him. I had the pizza waiting at the lobby when he got there. And that next morning I called him. And I'm like, yeah, did you get your pizza? He's like, yeah, I got my pizza. It was cool. Thank you. I was like, meet you in the lobby. And I didn't end up meeting him. I was actually with the rest of the guys. We were here to walk for breakfast. And the elevator door opened. And I wasn't even expecting him to walk out the elevator. He just kind of walked out the elevator. And I was like, yo. And it was just like, what's up?
Did you feel like an immediate connection? Did you look up and down and be like, okay, I can see
how we're
related?
Oh my God. I mean, when you see him, you're like, okay, you guys could be twins. Like we both look alike. I mean, it's spooky, scary. It's crazy. Like, to see him in person, I was like, yo, like, this is crazy. And the other guys who were kind of there, they didn't have a clue they didn't have a clue we were related until later on in the week. And I kind of shared it at the table. They were just, it was crazy. When I met him, I felt like, yo, this is my brother. And I felt like I had known him forever. So.
Did you talk about the basketball camp and you were like?
I did. I brought it up to him and I was like, yo, were you at the basketball camp? He's like, yo, I went to every basketball camp. And I'm like, yeah, because, it made sense because he grew up with Dad, So, and my dad, he was a basketball coach. So I'm like, well, that made sense. You had to go. And I'm like, do you remember that one? He's like, yeah, I remember that. And I'm like, yo, I was there. And he's like, yo, like, I didn't know. So my brother and my sisters, they didn't know about me.
Wow.
They didn't know about me. So my dad, after I talked to my dad then shared it with them.
Okay.
And then, he asked me, he's like, do you mind us connecting with them? I'm like, yeah, I want to connect with my family. And so, he opened it up and boom, had that connection. We talked.
So did you know going into meeting your brother what topics you wanted to cover with him? Did you have questions in your mind of what you wanted to ask him, what you wanted to know? Or was it kind of just like, we'll see what happens, we'll see how the feeling is?
No, I definitely had some questions. I wanted to know, how was Dad growing up? How was your experience? How did you feel? What was going on with you? How do you feel about this? Because I didn't want that, because I knew, yes, it was a lot for me, but I knew that he was in it too. And I didn't want to minimize how he felt, because this whole time he's thinking he's the only boy. And now he's like, hold on, but it's two of us. And so I didn't want to minimize that. And so, I was trying to be respectful of his space while yet trying my best to trying my best to get as many answers as I could. And he was very open and very honest about a lot of different things that really just brought me a great deal of comfort. And I just had to come to the point and realize, okay, well, I can't get the last 36 years back, but I can enjoy the next 36 years.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oof.
It's a woosah episode. This is a woosah episode.
Did you communicate with your mom? Have you communicated with your mom along the way of kind of the steps of meeting your brother? And
yeah, I tell her all the time. You know, my mom is very much she's very much supportive of it. My mom is just happy that it's happened. Mm. She's happy that, you know, I know. She's happy that I met him. She's happy that I have a relationship with my brother. She's happy I have a relationship with my sisters, and you know, she's happy, and I'm happy that I also have her support in that, because you know, understanding the dynamic is heavy, the dynamic is different, and you know, I respect her strength in being able to tell me, because some people never find out. And yeah. So I do. I talk to her. I kind of tell her the whole thing.
Great.
Yeah.
I know, deep breath.
I know. But yeah, I think we're gonna do some more and talk about this more on the next episode. But just want to kind of fill you guys in. This is where I've been, and it's been a process of walking through like what this looks like. And this whole process, I've kind of honed it down into a process I call rehab. And so, you know, I'm actually walking 10 individuals and 10 couples through the process, and, you know, what that looks like. But not just about, you know, that issue, but really taking it from a sense of brokenness and like how to walk through those things to find enlightenment and all those different things. So, you know, you can actually learn more about that on my website, CorneliusLindsay.com, CorneliusLindsay.com/rehab, and all the information is there. But I appreciate y'all rocking with me, y'all. Yo, we got some family secrets we need to talk about them. It's the holiday season, and all the family secrets gonna come out at the table. Cause you know, once you get auntie drunk, she gonna finally tell you that your mama ain't your mama. You know how it go. But yo, I love y'all, man. Thank y'all for rocking with us. See y'all next week. Peace.